Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Ian from My Pool Shop Melbourne. Welcome to the third video in our series of maintaining pool and spa water quality. In the first video, we looked at why we suggest you maintain the water quality of your pool and spa. First reason is bather comfort. The second reason is protecting your investment, and the third reason is to ensure that your season goes smoothly. In our second video, we looked at sanitizing in particular, and in this third video, we're going to look at water balance. What does it mean, and what chemicals are involved? So, water balance, it primarily relates to the protecting of your investment in the pool and spa itself and the associated equipment. Water balance means that the chemical balance of the pool has been met, so that the water is neither scale forming or corrosive. If certain parameters are too low, the water will aggressively seek the chemicals that it needs by attacking the pool surface, which can lead to pitting of the pool surface and damage to pool equipment. On the other hand, if the parameters are too high, it leads to scale forming again on the surface of the pool or on the internals of equipment. So the emphasis is on balance, and the three key parameters that we're interested in are pH, total alkalinity, and calcium hardness. Okay, before we go any further, I just want to highlight that the recommendations for the level of alkalinity and the level of calcium hardness or hardness in your pool are actually quite specific to the pool surface. For example, Luxor Pool recommend a level of alkalinity somewhere between 160 and 180 parts per million for their epoxy painted pool, whereas Quartzon recommend 80 to 120 parts per million of alkalinity for their quartz render pool. So as you can see, the two are quite different. So therefore, it's best if you know what your pool surface is. Either check with the manufacturer of your surface or potentially the pool builder. And in the absence of knowing the answer to either one of those two things, check with your pool shop with regards to recommendations for your type of surface. And I mean tiled pool versus a fiberglass pool versus a rendered pool, for example. So the first parameter that we want to look at is the total alkalinity. Technically speaking, this is a measure of the bicarbonates, the carbonates, and the hydroxides in the pool. Generally, we're looking for a reading somewhere between 70 to 150 parts per million, but as I mentioned, that will be specific to your pool surface. The total alkalinity is referred to as a buffer for your pH. And what this means is that it's there to, if it's set within the ideal range, it will minimize fluctuations in your pH, such as what we call pH bounce. What that means is, if the total alkalinity is way too high, when you add some acid to reduce the pH of the water, the pH will initially come down, but it will bounce back up again quite quickly. And conversely, the opposite is true. So therefore, if your alkalinity is too low, if you were to treat the pH, you will find that it will drop like a stone much further than you want it to be. And therefore, your water will become quite corrosive because it is at the acidic end of the pH range. And obviously the opposite is true again. If the alkalinity is way too high, the potential to form scale presents itself. The next element that we need to look at is calcium, sometimes referred as calcium hardness, or also just hardness or total hardness of the pool. Again, we're looking for a general range somewhere between 150 to 300, but that is dependent on your pool surface. In simple terms, it's just the measure of calcium that's actually in the pool. And again, if the levels are too low, the water will become quite corrosive as it aggressively seeks the calcium that it needs to stay in balance. And it will start to try to draw that out of the surface of the pool and attack internals of equipment as well. And the same as with alkalinity, if the levels are too high, the water then becomes potentially scale forming, and the calcium can come out of solution and deposit on the surface of the pool or the internals of equipment. A good example of that would be a gas heater, where the water heats up inside the heat exchangers, and you can find the calcium will build up inside there, constricting the flow of water through your gas heater. Third and final element of water balance is pH. As we said before, that in our previous videos, that pH is a measure of how acidic or alkaline the water is, and you're probably starting to pick up the theme here that if it's too low, the water becomes quite corrosive and will start attacking the surface of the pool and your equipment. And if the pH level is too high, the water becomes scale forming, and calcium and alkalinity will come out of solution and start to settle on the surface of the pool and on the internals of your equipment. So again, keeping it within balance is the important thing, and we're looking for a range between 7.2 to 7.6 for pools and spas. Rightio, there you go. That's water balance. So pH, total alkalinity and calcium, three components of water balance. Keeping those three elements in harmony will ensure that you're doing everything you can to minimize damage to your pool surface and your pool equipment. Right, so that wraps up the series of maintaining pool and spa water quality. Hope you've enjoyed the three videos that we put together for you. Please leave us a comment, subscribe to the channel for all our future comment, and we hope you've enjoyed it. I've been Ian from My Pool Shop Melbourne. Thanks for watching.